Hey y'all, it's Megan. Welcome back to the channel. Glad y'all are here today. Come spend some time with me over the next 2 weeks. I'm going to show y'all how to make old-fashioned icicle pickles. Some people call them icicle pickles, some people call them 14-day pickles. These are delicious, crunchy, really sweet pickle that I know you're going to enjoy. It's a process, but it's worth it. And this recipe here, it makes a whole lot of pickles, and I only have to make it about every other year. So I went out and I picked me about a 5-gallon bucket of cucumbers. That just happened to be what's ready. I don't know if it's going to take them all. I can't remember. It's been a couple of years. But my cucumber plants, I'm scared they're not going to hang on through this heat wave we're having. So I wanted to go ahead and get while the getting was good. What I'm going to do different this year than what y'all saw me do in years past is I'm actually going to do chunks for these instead of wedges. Me and Andy decided we want to try it this way this year. Kind of changed up a little bit. So, well, I say chunks. More like thick chips. Maybe I should put it that way. So, for the very first day of your icicle pickles, you don't have to be as quick with these as you do the little dill pickles if you do it the way that I showed you before. These are a little more lenient as far as how long the cucumber's been sitting. Of course, don't use some shriveled up wilted cucumber, but if you need to set them in the fridge overnight, it's not going to hurt anything. So let's see. Now for my icicle pickles, I like to use bigger pickles, bigger ones. You know, my dill pickles, I use the tiny ones. But of course, I'm going to cut my ends off, and I think this year, let's see, I think I'll do some thick. Should I do those? Maybe I'll experiment. I'll do some thick chips and some chunks, and we'll see if we like those. So also, cleaned and ready to go is my number 4 crock here, 4-gallon crock. This is what I make my pickles in. Now you can make them in a ceramic bowl, in a glass jar, anything but metal. You can make them in as small a batch or big a batch as you want. Just, you know, change your ratios a little bit. And, you know, I run into a lot of people these days that have never even heard of these kind of pickles. So let me know, like in the comments, if this is something you've ever even heard of. They're very old-fashioned type of pickle. Luckily, for those first 7 days, we don't have to touch them. So, I know 14 days sounds intimidating, but it's really just day, 7 through 14 that you actually have to do stuff. But it ain't hard. I mean, I'm talking about it might take 10 minutes tops out of your day. Besides the last day of canning now, that's a little bit of a different story. Let's do this one in the chunks. And I'll keep on working until I get my crock about 3/4 of the way full. So it takes quite a few for my crock. It don't have to take you that many. You can do them in a big gallon-sized jar, and they'll still turn out just fine. And usually the way this works, by the time these pickles get done working after their 14 days, the cucumber vines are usually about dead and gone. that's why I'm doing it now. No use to wait if I got time to do it. But like I said, the hardest part of this whole thing is the first day and the last day. Cutting them up and then canning them. Alright, we got it all cut up and that thing's about 3/4 of the way full. Next thing we need to do is boil 2 gallons of water with 4 cups of salt. You want that water to be good and hot when you're pouring it over your cucumbers here. Now I'll take me a plate. We want most of them to be submerged anyway. If I need to, I'll add a weight, something heavy to this. Looks like I may have to. Let's do that. Let's do that and let the lid push it down. And we'll check back on that in 7 days. Alright guys, so y'all are probably going to have to listen to a canner running in the background for this section of the video. But here we are, 7 days later, on our 14-day pickles. So I'm going to show you what they look like. They get a little gross, but they've been sitting for 7 days. So the layer of mold you see on top, that is completely normal, and they always do that. So we've got to get these drained, and I'm going to fill my big pot up with boiling, just clean water, and that's what's going back. So I do like to go through, this is just a personal preference, and dip out any of these little pieces of mold, any cucumbers that may have floated to the top that look bad. We'll get rid of all this right here. And we're getting ready to dump out this liquid anyway, but this keeps it from sticking to any of my pickles or anything. So now comes the tricky part. Let me get my little weight and everything out. Go ahead in here. There's a plate in there somewhere. And now what I like to do before I pour my new boiling water over it, I'm going to rinse these off with just some clean cold water. And you'll see some pink residue on some of these. That's from that Redmond's Real Salt. It's got minerals in it. And sometimes it'll leave like that orangey pinky look on them. Done that. I get my workout when I'm making these things, y'all. You can make them in much smaller batches if you want, or you can make them in a bigger old crock like me. Alright, now that my pickles are all cleaned off, I'm going to put this back in its resting place and we're going to cover it in hot boiling water. So I got that covered up, and I'll show you what we're going to do tomorrow. Now here we are on the next day of our pickles. Today what we're going to be doing is adding our alum water to the cucumbers. So the ratio is 1 tablespoon of alum per 1 gallon of water. So I'm probably going to do 2 gallons of water, so that will be 2 tablespoons of alum. So this alum is what's going to give our pickles a really, really nice crunch. These 14-day pickles have a really great crunch factor. So we need 2 tablespoons of that. So that alum should dissolve in the water. We should see no more white flecks whenever it's all gone. We're going to bring this up to a boil, just like we do all of our mixtures that go in our 14-day pickles. And while we're waiting on that, we're going to drain our cucumbers again. And just like that, we've come up to a boil with our alum water. So we'll pour that back over our pickles. That's warm. That's the only bad thing about this pot right here. I love this pot, but the handles get hot. Alright, I'm going to cover it up. And speaking of my pot, I always get lots of questions concerning my big old pot here. So this is a Biltmore pot, belly stock pot. It's something like that. I actually got this as a wedding gift. Mama got me this before me and Andy got married. So I've had this thing for 13 years now and have loved it. Which Biltmore, you have to buy it through Belk's, but Biltmore does still make this brand of pots. I think they're shaped just a tad bit different nowadays, but they've got the heavy bottom and they're stainless steel. Like I said, the only complaint I have with it is these handles do get pretty hot. But other than that, if you're looking for one or you're wondering where I got it from, there you go. Alright, well, I reckon I'll see y'all in about 24 hours. Here we are, coming up on our last days of our pickles. So today, we're actually going to make our pickling brine. Now, a lot of folks get surprised about this here brine. It's got a lot of sugar in it. I'm just going to go ahead and tell you. These are a very sweet pickle, but they are fabulous. If you've ever had an icicle pickle, you know what I'm talking about. It's not something a lot of people do anymore, but These are very good pickles, and just keep in mind that all this sugar is not getting eaten at one time. It's going to go through several jars of pickles. It's going to be spread out through. So this is, actually, I guess you'd probably consider this more of a syrup instead of a brine. Yeah, it's a pickle syrup. Let's get started. So first thing we're going to need is 12 cups of white vinegar. Four. 8. 12. Next is the shocker. 14 cups of sugar. Yes, you heard me right. 14 cups. Actually, I always forget how much sugar is in it, so I hope I have 14 cups of sugar, but if I don't, it'll be fine. I can add it in tomorrow's step. So I'll just add what I've got. Maybe it's 14, maybe it's not. We'll see. I'm going to go ahead and cut my heat on, though, and let that be warming up. 1. 2. So I had 11 cups of sugar, so I didn't have the full 14. So that'll be okay. We can add the remaining 3 cups on tomorrow's step. I've done this probably about every time I've made them. And still yet here, I catch myself again, not prepared. When I think I am. Alright, we're going to bring that syrup up to a boil. We're going to add in 2 tablespoons, around about it, of pickling spice. Now, you can put this in one of those little sacks if you want to, if you don't want the spice floating around in your pickles. Every time I've ever made it, though, I just let it be in there. Like, I can it with it in there and everything, and it don't hurt a thing. So we'll do 2 heaping tablespoons of pickling spice. I've used all different brands. I just happen to this time have the McCormick pickling spice, but I mean, you can find it on Amazon. You can find little containers of it at your local grocery store, more than likely. But I get it off of Amazon because I can't get it in the bigger containers. Because not only do I use it in my pickles, I use it in my pickled eggs too. So I go through quite a bit of pickling spice this time of year. Alright, now, while that's working, we need to drain our pickles and get them good and rinsed off. I will say, that's the only bad thing about making them in a crock like I do. There's so much picking it up and draining it and back and forth and back and forth. You know, it would be easier to handle if I was just doing it in like big jars or something. But for now, this works. I like to get it done and only have to do this once every couple of years because it is a process. Although it's not a bad process by no means. So where we had that alum in there, though, I do like to fill them back up with cold water, let them sit for a minute, and then I'll rinse them back out, and I'll do that a couple of times just to get them good. We really want to get them good and rinsed in this step here. Alright, my brine has come up to a boil. We're going to get that poured over top our pickles. And we'll repeat it again for the next few days till we're ready to can them. Good Lord. I'm going to tell y'all right now, that brine is stout. So when you're pouring it in and that steam's coming up, you better hold your breath, because it'll take it if you don't. So it looks like I've got enough brine to cover my pickles, but I need something to hold them under there. So I usually use a plate if I need something. And I'm going to have something here. Alright. So that bowl right there fits pretty good down in there. We're going to set some pink-eyed peas on it just to give it a little weight there. Cover it up. And there we go. I'll see you in another 24 hours. Alright, here we are on the next day. I actually went and got me some more sugar. Had to make a grocery run. So now what we're going to do for our pickles is we're going to drain that syrup back out. And we're going to drain it into my big pot. So what I usually do is I'll set my colander down in there in case any pickles try to escape. And we'll drain that back in there. This. Boy, they already smell amazing. So now we're going to bring our syrup back over here, and we're going to bring this back up to a rolling boil just like we did yesterday. Now, because I didn't have the right amount of sugar, I'm going to add that now. But that's just because I didn't have it on the first day. And here's y'all a nice up close of what our pickles are looking like so far. They look pretty good. And you want them to change color like that right there. That is one reason they're called icicle pickles. Some people call them 14-day pickles. Some people call them icicle pickles. The name is interchangeable around here anyway. Alright, my syrup has come up to a nice boil. So we're going to pour this back over our cucumber mixture, and we're going to repeat this 3 more days. And on day number 3, that'll be the day when we boil it, we'll be canning our pickles. So I'll catch back up with y'all then. But let's pour this back over top. Now, I have been known to finish these up a day or 2 early, or to forget a day of doing this, and my pickles still turned out fine. So just kind of follow this recipe anyway if you're going to make them. There that is. Whew. Don't breathe too deep. It'll get you, I'm telling you. Every time. But I'm going to put my makeshift weight back on top of this. And like I said, we'll boil it 1, 2, 3 more times. And on that third time will be canning day. And I'll see y'all then. Here we are. We've made it to day 14, canning day. I have got 24 pints washed and sanitized and all that good jazz. I figure that's going to be enough. Kind of have to play this by ear. I'm pretty sure I said at the beginning of this video, y'all got to remember the beginning of this video was 2 weeks ago, but usually I do wedges, and I can judge it pretty good with wedges, but where I did the chunks and the slices this time, I don't know how far that'll take us. I may not have as many doing it that way. I don't know, and if I don't, I'll just make more next year. Ain't no big deal if I can't skip a year. But we're going to do just like we've been doing the last few days, strain out our liquid, and we want to get that boiling. The only difference is today, while that's boiling, we'll be filling our jars up with our pickles. So at this point, you can also try your pickles if you want to. Love them. So good. Mm-mm-mm. So we'll just, like I said, we're going to start filling our jars. I always wonder, every time I make these, I'm like, who come up with this? Like, this process, these pickles are fabulous, but like, who was the first person to do this, to come up with this here process? Because, let's face it, it is a heck of a process to get this. I think about that with a lot of stuff, though. I'm like, who was the first person to come up with all kinds of stuff? Just like the person that decided which mushrooms are deadly and which ones are not. I would not want to be that person. But I reckon somebody had to come up with it, didn't they? And this is one I think a lot of people have quit making these. I've talked to several people that have never heard of them. Like I said, they're very, very old-fashioned, and it was just another way I guess people used, you know, to preserve their cucumbers. And they're unlike any other pickle I've ever eaten. They're not vinegary. That sugar really cuts that vinegariness you usually get from pickles. Yep, I can't judge how much this is going to make here. Calculated pretty good. I washed 24 pints and ended up with 21. So now I'm waiting on my mixture here to come to a good hot rolling boil. Like, I want this stuff piping hot before we put it in the jars. I'm gonna go around though and I'm gonna wipe the rims of these because I'm a little bit messy sometimes, and some of the pickles did touch the rim, so we don't want that between our seal, because over time that will eventually make that seal come loose. But usually if you have enough brine that we're covering your cucumbers while they were in the crock, we should have enough to go in all of our jars. But there have been years that I've been shy a little bit, and well, those pickles just, we'll have to eat them in the next day or two, because of course they're already kind of pickled where we've boiled and poured back on and boiled and poured back on, so on and so forth. But if that does happen to you, if you try these, like, it's normal. It happens sometimes. Because this is not one of those things that ain't like my dill pickles. I can't just go back and, I guess it could. But to be at the right ratios, it would be difficult to go back and make more. Y'all let me know in the comments. I'm always interested to hear, different regions do different things, different places in the world and here in our country. Have you ever heard of 14-day pickles or icicle pickles? Is that something people in your family make? Even if it's different than these. I'm sure there are a million different recipes and ways to do this. But these are my favorite pickles. The dill pickles is everybody else's favorite. These are my favorite. I've never been a big dill pickle person though. Alright, my mixture is up to a good rolling boil. So, we'll go on and get this show on the road here. You want to make sure the most important thing is making sure that your pickles are covered. We're not worried as much about head space and stuff like that, but we want those pickles covered. What do y'all think? Do y'all think we're going to have enough to fill up all our jars? We shall see. Well, just as I suspected, I don't have quite enough left for 2 jars, but I've got enough left, I think, for 1. So I'm going to fill this one up. I won't be wasted too terribly many. I mean perfect. Just perfect. Well, there it is. That's 21 and a half jars of Icicle pickles, 14-day pickles, whatever you want to call them, to last us from now till next year at least. Well, usually what I do is I'll go through my grocery store downstairs in the basement and I'll look through and figure out what we need to plant for the upcoming gardening year. So we'll play it by ear. We may take a notion to start eating more of these, who knows, or we may not eat many at all. It all just depends on the year and how the mood strikes us. Now I do have, like, I think I looked, it's like 4 jars left of Icicle pickles from 2024 that I made. And I'm gonna tell y'all, the longer these sit, the better they get. And those 2-year-old pickles are phenomenal. They're great. So these are good right now, like when you try them out of the crop when you're on canning day. Like, I'll stick these in the fridge and maybe we'll eat them tonight with supper or the next couple days. They'll be fine for just those couple days. But after these have set for a while, that's when they're really gonna shine. They're really gonna get excellent. So there it is. Y'all let me know in the comments if you decide to try it. If you got some extra cucumbers laying around, or you want to just make them in a gallon jar or a half-gallon jar or something and try them, see how you like them. I'd love to hear, you know, everybody's taste is different and everybody's got an opinion. My opinion is I think they're worth all the work that it takes to get them here. So anyways, guys, I guess that's going to about wrap up this 2-week long video. Hope y'all enjoyed the video. Thank you so much for spending some of your time with us. We are just so glad you're here. And anyways, guys, till we see y'all on the next one, y'all have a good one.